everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Performance Cafe. It is lovely to see you here today, and carrying on where I left off last week. So last week we were talking about it's the end of the year. How do we keep up motivation? How do we keep people going for the last couple of weeks and such? And I spoke about how did we go to a place of reflection, a place where we sit and think through the year and actually get to the point where we appreciate what went right in the year. So today we're going to carry on from that and do something a little on the flip side. And I'm first going to take you through the process of reflection, and then we're going to see what are we going to do with that reflection? What's our other alternative? So the process for reflection that I described comes down to three things. Firstly, I reflect on what has happened, what has been achieved. Next, I reflect on where was resilience shown. And thirdly, I reflect on where was their growth. So I think that very often, in the previous video, I mentioned I'm really bad about celebrating my successes and stuff. So what happens is if we're forever just rushing forward, we never get to the point where we actually stop and go, okay, I can close this off. This was successful. Even if it was successful, sometimes we just zoom right past it and we just move on to the next thing. And if that thing fails us, then we go, oh, well, I never achieve anything. I'm never successful. It's not that you're not successful. It's that you're just not acknowledging it. So when we take a look at these three things, appreciation, not appreciation. Well, that is all. When we take a look at these three things, so what have we achieved? Where were we resilient, and where was their growth? Then we take a look at them from three different perspectives. For each of those, I ask myself, as the owner of the business, as the head of the team, whatever my portfolio is, how did I achieve something? What was there that I did? And yes, we are all dependent on each other. I'm not saying that we highlight one person above another. But what was that thing that was really close to my heart, that I really drove, that I really went for, that either I achieved, or for the second question, where I showed resilience and I fixed something, or in the third question, where we're taking a look at where I've grown. What did I learn from this? Then the next one, same three questions. We take a look at particular individuals in our teams and we say, how did that individual show up? Where were they particularly successful in what they achieved, resilient, and where did they grow? And then for the third question as well, where we say, right, when it comes to where did the team do something beautiful together? Where did the team achieve something? Where did the team grow? Where were they resilient? And the idea is to get all of these little facts mapped out a little bit so that you can see where all the contributions were, where all of the trouble spots were, where what happened. And in the previous video, I concluded by saying, how do we celebrate those? But I think there's a next step to be taken. When we have that information in front of us, I absolutely love the idea of going to take a look at what is it that we can improve? What can we learn from this so that we can improve? Now, for those of you who've been watching for a while, I'm going to bird a thing about Jim Quick. He wrote the book Limitless. And what I really love is he's got three questions that he said that when you're trying to learn from something, there are three questions that you ask. And I think that if we use his three questions, that I'm going to tell you about shortly, on this data set that we've created over here, I think there's a lot that we can learn and turn into a positive. Because so often we don't reap the learning because we don't want to constantly go back to places where things didn't work. But what if we're learning from a place of affirmation, a place of what did work? So once we've got this data set, we go back and we say, right, for each of these areas or each little idea or portion that I've mapped out, we ask these three questions. The first one is, what did I learn? What did I learn about my own resilience, my own achievement, my own growth? What did I learn about the same things for individuals in my team? And what did I learn about the whole team? And it's really worthwhile to take one's time and sit with this and do a proper look at this. Because you see, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at each of those again. Then we're going to ask his next question, which is, why is it important? Why is each of these things important? Why was my self-awareness important for all of these things? Why is it important that I learn to know this about individuals in my team? Why is it important that I understand these things about the team in general? You see, there's information that we can use to get out of trouble next time, hidden in there. We just have to go and mine it. And I sort of feel like this might be the moment. Next up is his third question. And he always says that when you've learned something, ask yourself, when am I going to use it? He always says that calendars are used for productivity, but they're not very proactive. When can I, in my calendar, go and put an entry to say, I'm going to use this knowledge at this point to ... whatever I'm going to do with it. I now know something more about my own ability to achieve, to be resilient, and also grow. What am I going to do with that? When am I going to do it? When am I going to plan it? What was the impact of this growth for me? And from that perspective, if I understand the impact of the growth for me, where am I going to put in spaces where I create that kind of growth? Maybe do I even have a calendar entry for when I'm going to share that growth with individuals in my team, when I'm going to have the team share growth, the areas of growth and learnings with each other, so that we can take what we've learned and we can really boost ourselves with it. And even, how will I use it? Not just when, but what's the appropriate application for this to hit home? Now, this has so many applications. But for those of you who know, I come from an HR consulting background, and everything in that, when I was raised, was about people, process systems, people, process systems, people, process systems. And I think already we can see that once we harness that information, we can understand not just where things went right, but also where they went wrong with either the people, process, or the system. We can then also see where were we resilient, where did we learn something about people, process, systems. And so what we can do is we can start building this as a document, a reference of how are we going to do it better from now on forever. In the previous video, I also did mention growth mindset, and I think you can't talk growth mindset without talking about a learning culture. And I think this is ideal fodder for a learning culture, because you see, everyone tries to actually avoid trouble and stay out of it. I know it doesn't always feel like that way in business, but if we're sharing this kind of information, if we understand where things have gone wrong, how we fixed it, who had what information, skill, knowledge, talent, whatever, well, that's just a way for us to get motivated, because I want to work in a winning team. I don't want to work in a team where either I'm constantly failing or someone else is constantly failing. So this reflection to improve moves away from the concept of a blame game and moves towards how do we build for a better, stronger future tomorrow. For those of us who are going to go away on leave, we want to come back and we want to know, how are we going to start off and do better next year? For those of us who are staying or not going on leave, we may be part of the skeleton staff. We might be alone at the office. We might not be sure about where to get all the resources because all of a sudden most of the team is gone. Well, imagine if you had all this learning in one place. Isn't that powerful? And so I'd like to ask you to do a bit of reflection to improve and see what is it that you've learned from this year that you can use as a solid foundation to move on to next year. And I hope that you're going to find that really valuable, both from a personal and self-awareness perspective, but also from that of the systems, the processes, and everything else. So that's all from me for today. Where's my coffee? There's my coffee. That's all from me for today. If you've enjoyed this video and you're looking for more, we record these and upload them as videos on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook most weeks, and normally on a Wednesday. And we turn them into, well, shortly we'll be turning them into podcasts, which will be found on all of the podcasting platforms once we get there. Related articles can also be found on the website performforward.com. And if you have any questions or suggestions for topics, please do leave a comment on your platform of choice and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, until next Wednesday when we'll see you at the Performance Cafe.